Good evening, everyone. I'm calling to order the October 21st, 2025 meeting of the Southborough Select Board. First item on the agenda is public comment, and this is an opportunity for members of the public who wish to comment on an item that's not on the agenda. We try to limit public comment to 3 minutes, not intended as a back and forth, just an opportunity for anyone to offer a comment. I don't see anyone here in person. Okay. Okay. John?
Hi, so I would just ask if you are planning on discussing the government study warrant later. I didn't see it explicitly on the agenda. And if you're not planning on discussing it, I wouldn't further try to persuade you that you should, but I would attend if you were at that time of the agenda, if you were planning on discussing it, if that's clear.
Well, is this about
The government study committee.
removing the prescriptive language in Article 10?
Yes.
Okay, that's already in the we have incorporated the change that you had suggested in the motion for Article 10.
I see. Then I don't need to discuss it further if that's done. Thanks very
Okay.
much. Right.
Thanks.
Right. Bye.
Anything else? Okay. So our first scheduled appointment is a Tricentennial Committee update from Tricentennial Chair John Morse.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. As you know, our charge dated April 10th, 2023, item 8 requires us to report to the select board. I think it says quarterly, but we're not in trouble yet, so it's been more casual of an update. So this is our third update. The report that I submitted has one error that I've spotted. I think we've held 27 meetings or 28 every month since November of 23. So we finished 2 years working on this, and I think we're making very good progress. The beginning of our work was to research what other towns have done, give us ideas, what works, what doesn't work. And we're still actually doing that when it comes down to some specific events, but rather than the whole year. We've done that townwide survey. We're continuing to reach out, and we use that information to help guide us. Now, the Friends of Southborough 300 formed a 501c3. It's a nonprofit to accept the donations and sponsorships. And Kathy Cook has been our lead in that area, working with us. And I was, as recently as today, I was discussing with Jenny Martins the status, and it appears as though we're around $130,000. $30,000 is the money that we received from the special from the town meeting back in 24, and another 100,000 has been committed. And the process, it's a 3-phase process that the fundraising group is doing. The first phase is to reach out to the potential high contributors, and then working to lower numbers, and then the third phase would be to even lower number donations. We scheduled a free ice cream day giveaway scoop on September 7th, and of course it was like 50 degrees out and raining. So we rescheduled it for the 28th, and it was very successful. It was a beautiful sunny day. We gave out quite a bit of ice cream. And it wasn't just the ice cream that was the focus. It was to get the word out, and we actually sold 1 brick. And then we've held some pop-up events, for example, at the transfer station to sell the bricks, and trying to think of what else. Do you remember, Andrew, another one of our pop-ups that we did? We didn't go to the trick or trunk. We were directed, we said that that was a very special event that we shouldn't interfere with, so we didn't. We've published a monthly newsletter. And then we've also been collecting, and thanks to Vanessa, a bit of an archive of photos and documents that we will be displaying in 2027 of Old Southborough. So we've created working groups for major events, but not limited to those events. A drone show and fireworks, a house tour. House tour is very well along, and I think there's actually a date that was set for that. It's in June, I think, June. Historic activities in a time capsule, a music festival. We had a bit of a setback on that. Our most recent committee member, Keith Ackley, was going to launch that, and we were informed that because he's on the registrar of voters, that he's not allowed to be on anything else. So he submitted his resignation after 2 meetings. But we hope to have him continue to work on a working group for that music festival. Fireman's Muster and Competition, that's going to be July 17th, 2027. We've talked to the library about a Strawberry Festival, reviving that. Cemetery tour with costumed reenactors. And of course, we've done, I think, 3 and maybe 4 interviews of oral histories with Southborough Access Media in their recording studio, where we get these longtime Southborough residents to sit and answer questions that would be quite interesting, the answers. We've drafted a 2027 events calendar. There are some gaps which we will be filling in the next several months. And then just recently, I think, Andrew, you received the email regarding some additional, I guess, volunteers or potential help and participation by the schools. So we've been looking forward to that, and it seems like we're on the doorstep of having the schools much more involved than they were in 2025. And then tonight, hopefully, you will appoint Jamie Falcone to our committee. And there's another application out there that will be coming along and coming before you, we hope, very soon. Now, Jimmy Harding, who grew up in Southborough, is a veteran. He's been on the committee for 2 years, and he decided that it was time to step aside. And the timing was great because Jamie Falcone is a veteran, so that fills that requirement on our charge to have at least one veteran. But Jimmy is really a special guy, and want to express our gratitude to him for being on the committee for 2 years. There's some newer things that we've been looking at, and some of the things that are new that we've been looking at, we got from talking with Travis, our rec department director. He told us of the town of Groton collecting Christmas trees, putting them in a big giant pile, and having a huge bonfire in January in the town of Groton. It's very successful. Lots and lots of people go. So we're looking forward to something like that in January of 2027. Perhaps a skating party later on in the year, maybe once or many or more times, some hay rides, because there used to be Bob Seeley had mules and a hay wagon down on White Bagley Road. And the whole time I was growing up, he used to, on a hot summer night, he'd take the mules from White Bagley Road up Main Street and turn around at Deerfoot and go back just before sunset. And we used to hide behind trees and then hop in the back for a ride. And be giggling and thinking that he didn't see us. And then when he was on his way back, because I grew up right across the street, he'd say, "You boys enjoy the ride?" So, but that was fun. And it was throughout the town that we had those hay rides. Another thing that Travis directed us our attention to was first night / first day. And I believe the New Year's Day on 2027 is a Friday. Thought it was maybe it's a Thursday. Okay, so automatically there's no school the next day and hopefully no work. So there's a potential, there's an opportunity there to have some type of a celebration day and night, either on that Friday or Saturday or both, to launch the 300th year of Salpro. So we're going to be looking into first night / day. And that's only about, what, 13 and a half months away. So we want to get going with that. There's been some talk, and hopefully we'll be able to pull this off, but having a duck boat come to Southborough. One of the ideas was to take the people that would ride in the duck boat would be members of championship teams that Southborough's had over the years, the 2010 Little State Champ Little League team, and others. And I think that's all I have right now.
Thank you. Yes, Kathy?
So that was a great report. This is all great stuff that you're putting together. One thing, and this may not even be relevant, it may be nothing that you'd want to do anything with, but something else that's going to be happening in July of 27 is if the Costco project goes forth as planned, it's going to be opening in around June of 27. So I don't know if that means anything. I don't know if there's anything that could be incorporated with that, but that's going to happen too.
As long as they give us money, we'll be.
Well, TBD, right?
No, that's going to be a big that's a big site, right? A lot of land there and be a big parking lot for potential events.
So keep that one in mind.
You said June or July of
He
27?
said today, we actually heard from him today, we had a forum, and he said today again, he said 24 months. Then he went back and said, could be 18, so 18 to 24 months. And last time he said he was July.
I want to thank you, Kathy, for sitting with us and clarifying one of the most challenging things and probably one of the most important things is handling the money. We're getting donations from all over the place. We have money from the town. It all has to be handled properly and be completely trackable and transparent. And, you know, with Kathy and the 501c3, we created a process document so that everyone understands how the money comes in, how the money is held, and how the money is spent. So
We did.
you were very patient with us. Thank you.
That's fine.
Thank you. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of this since I'm on the committee, but does anyone have any questions or comments? All right.
We're allowed to have 2 select board members
Okay.
on the committee, right?
I can't think of any reason why. When it's the third that would get you in trouble there.
Yeah, right. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I would like to, since these 2 items go together, just move up item C. Is Jamie Falcone in the online audience?
Yes.
Okay. So we can bring him over.
Yep, I'm here, guys.
Hi, Jamie. How are you? So I know I'm familiar with you since you've attended many of the meetings of the Tricentennial Committee, and Jamie's actually spearheading one of the events, the Fireman's Muster. But Why don't you tell us a little bit more about why you're interested in joining the committee?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it was a natural thing that happened. I mean, I definitely can't be expected to fill the likes of the shoes of Mr. Harding. But I could probably try to walk in them. I might not be able to run. But certainly being given granted the date of the fireman's muster, just seemed like a natural thing to also be involved with the committee. Um, and yeah, being the veteran, it's, I did hear about Mr. Harding's absence, and it just came at the right time. So, I want to be able to help. I want to get the vets involved uh, in the events. And involvement, recognition, whatever way we can get involved. I'm from Southborough, born and raised. My family's been in Southborough for almost 100 years. My grandfather started Falcone Energy in like 1935. My father lived and died here on Newton Street, and I'm in my family home that I grew up in, so I continue to carry on. I'm in a 200-year-old home here, 1800, one of the oldest homes right here in the center of town. So I've been pretty involved in the community. I'm also a business owner. Got a showroom on Main Street in Southborough where we showcase mini splits. We have a heat pump company that we own with a partner who's also from Southborough. And together we're the president and vice president of the association, the Veterans Firemen's Association, that's going to put on the muster. So we're excited about being involved, and glad if you'll have us.
All right. Anyone have any questions? All right, so I move that we appoint Jamie Falcone to the Tricentennial Committee for a term to expire June 30, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, welcome aboard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
So the next item on our agenda is a Metro West Rec update from our Rec Executive Director, Brian Smith. Please come on up.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Brian Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Metro West Regional Communications Center. I was hired about April or May of this year. My background is I worked for the Seattle Police Department in Washington State for about 20 years as in the 911 center. I started as a dispatcher and call taker, moved my way up the chain, was a supervisor and a manager, and I left as the administrative manager, responsible for many of the facets of the 911 center, most of our technology programs, and administrative programs as well. It's been great being here in the area, working with Southborough, Westborough, and Grafton, and really learning the environment here as well. So far, the regionalization is going very well. I've been working with Chief Puntini, the chair of the operations committee, as well as the vice chair and the other chiefs as well. Excuse me. So far, I don't believe we have any roadblocks that we've come across. We do have a little bit of growing pains as we're moving along. We're experiencing, various issues that we're tackling and moving forward. I don't have any updates regarding particular opening dates or things like that. But if you do have any questions regarding some of the operations that we're planning right now and focusing on developing our our operations technology, doing the architecture for that. So things like our computer-aided dispatch, the RMS systems with the police and the fire departments, and how those fit together, and then how the community would interact with the 911 center going forward. All of those seem to be fitting nicely. I had some meetings with some technology providers very recently, and those have gone very well as moving forward. So far, I do the updates are very positive. We're have a new, we've recently changed project managers, our owners project managers. Our most recent firm has left. We've brought on a new firm and we're doing the final contracting on that now. So that should be moving forward very soon. Anybody have any questions or concerns or? Yes.
How's the building?
It's a beautiful building. I'm very excited about the building. So working in a 911 center myself for quite a while, I was pleasantly surprised to see the building from both the outside and the inside. The inside, the feelings that I get and how I view the building when I'm in there, it's going to be a great place for the employees to work. And that was the spark that I had when I walked into the building. Right now, it's not under construction yet, but it's not in great condition. It's not being used like this facility is. So there's items strewn about, but you can see, looking at the plans and then being in the building, you can definitely visualize how it's going to be. And I would say the building is the most exciting part because it's a great building. We haven't started the construction yet, so I think being a 125-year-old schoolhouse, we may see some items from the construction, but so far, nothing like that. It's just it's a really nice building. So I think it'll go well for the building part.
Kathy?
So I'm just going to, because Brian and Carla are here now, we're about to start talking about our fiscal year 27 budget process. And when the rec comes out of our local budget is important to us. So it sounds like for fiscal year 27, we should keep it in completely all the way through. Because we originally thought that we would take it out 1/1/27, but it sounds like that's not going to happen, Brian. So it sounds like it's 7/1/27, so fiscal year 28. So Vertex is the new OPM, is that
Correct.
correct? Contract is almost signed, is that what we're saying?
I believe the contract is still, we have the price proposal, so that negotiation is ongoing, but hoping at the next rec meeting in the next couple of weeks, that'll be finalized.
Okay, and then next step after that? You've got a designer or you don't?
Next step after that, so we are going to transition to construction documents. And I think that would be the next step after the OPM gets an understanding of where we are and looks at everything. So that's the next step.
Okay,
The design is almost finalized with the remodel. So there is a designer. Schematic design is complete. The design development's complete. So we've done some value engineering to see if we can reduce costs in certain areas. The first round of value engineering has been complete. So we're now ready to go to construction documents. The architect is finalizing those and we're getting ready to publish them. We're just waiting for the new OPM come on board, review what we have existingly, and then go forward with the construction documents and go out to bid.
so we had in Southborough great success with Vertex. They actually were the OPM for the public safety building that we have here, and we're very happy with them. Okay, so this is my overarching concern. Okay, so there's been 2 grants awarded so far, 4 million the first year, 8 million this last year, right? So 12 million, but we're spending that money. I mean, you're being paid, et cetera, right? Are we comfortable that with those 2 grants, we have enough money to build the facility out and get it operating, or are we not comfortable yet? Because we just don't know what the numbers are.
The way the 911 grant funding works, they haven't funded the entire bucket at the beginning. They're funding it as we go. So that the first award in 2024 covered the OPM, some, I believe, construction, and maybe some architecture as well. And it was sort of repeated again in the 2026 grant. We are expecting another grant award.
So you will do a third one?
Yes.
Okay.
So in March, we'll be applying for the July grant. That will include really the vast majority of the technology. So none of the technology has been funded yet. So to answer your question, with the existing awards that have been done, no. However, with the next grant round, we should be getting much, much closer to that.
So is the expectation still that these grants will pay for the entire build out, the fit out, and get us operational without the individual towns having to contribute anything to the capital? Is that still the plan? So
Yeah.
we don't have.
My
to-
understanding, yes.
All right.
So it appears, Kathy, that, you know, we're asking for everything. And State 911 is saying, so what do you intend to do this year? And then they're giving us the money to allow us to do what we think we're going to do over the course of the next year. And then they're doing it that way. So as Brian said, we've got another grant application in March, which will be for the next tranche of funding, which would cover the technology and getting us right up to what we would need to go to start.
Okay, because that's my concern is we don't end up with the towns having to bear a cost that we're not planning on. Okay, well, thank you for doing this and
welcome.
good luck. We're looking forward to getting this operation. I know the chiefs are, Chief Puttini came from a rec in Foxborough, so he knows this world very well. So he's good to have as the leader of that committee.
Tim, you have any questions?
My one question is around timing and continued investment back in the town. So I know that we talked about aging technology locally and that the rec was going to pick up that, so we didn't have a secondary bill to pay locally. Is this timeline that's not solid at risk that we have to do more investment locally in our current dispatch infrastructure to keep it online or current?
Not that I'm aware of. The current technology within the existing center is very similar to the technologies that are in the vast majority of centers within the area. They all seem to have a similar model of technology. I don't anticipate that those would not function or have some sort of issue with that.
We had $1 million on the capital budget for doing this. If we didn't do the recs, that's what he's referring to. So we don't want to do that. We want this to do it. So we should be okay, right? To get to the rec without having to.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so anticipated, no, we should, hopefully we're in a good place. Obviously, there's going to be ongoing maintenance of our current system, and we're also evaluating a few other large communication systems of whether we're going to, there's a few options. The state has an option we could look at. We could keep hardware locally, all through the rec. So there's a few different avenues we're going to end up going. But the goal is that placeholder on the capital plan would not be needed. It might still be a little bit too early to guarantee, but that's kind of the direction we're going. But there's going to be continuing ongoing maintenance of our system until the rec goes live. And then depending on what, major infrastructure build out we see, go from there. I mean, portables is, one example. Each one of these devices is, quite expensive. So it kind of depends on, what communications model we go with will be, the town, each individual's town liability. So a lot of up in the air still, but it's looking good.
Yeah.
Welcome to Southborough.
Thank you.
Yeah, couple quick questions. Do you anticipate any other communities joining the rec in the next year, sort of before you launch?
I don't know the answer to that within the next year. What I will say is that we are building the rec to be a regional center and to have more communities join. That's the goal. And as we're designing the technology that's going in the center now, I'm intentionally ensuring that as new communities come on, that our system is expandable in an easy way, and that new communities can join in a predictable fashion. That way we can expand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, my
But right now, I don't have anybody that's,
on the
ready
verge
to-
of signing on the dotted line. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, my observation is that, currently we're maybe 55,000 people in the rec, and we really need to get to a number that's like 100,000 to sort of be, in the economies of scale sort of business. But, yeah, so that was the first one. The second question, this was a hard sell in Southborough, as you're probably aware. And the dark station tools were a big stumbling block. I don't know if it's too early to talk about that, but can you talk about your visions for what sort of tools will be available to the public at the station?
Sure. So right now, there are two regional centers that are piloting technology to address dark stations. Neshoba Valley is about very close to implementing a solution. And then there's another rec that is already piloting. Those systems monitor if somebody walks in, it's able to identify that a person has walked into the facility. In each of the consoles that the dispatcher is working, they have a webcam on their station. And so as somebody comes in, it pops up on the dispatcher screen so they can see the person that has come in. And now in the lobby or in the facility, the screen comes up and it shows the dispatcher there. And so now they can talk directly to one another. If there's an emergency or the person is seeking refuge, the dispatcher is able to lock doors, unlock doors, and is immediately able to communicate over the radio to the officers in the area to respond if there's an emergency in progress that they need to handle at that point. Now, those technologies, the state 911 department is now including as a eligible expense in the 911 grant funding. So in March, when we go to do our grant application, I'll be including that in that March application to ensure that we have funding for that in July, that it's funded and we can start that implementation process. So at least we have a plan to address some of those.
That's good, because that was a big deal in the town. So don't forget that one.
No,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Can I do one more, Andrew?
Sure.
So chiefs, what are we going to do with dispatch area once the rec is open? Do we know?
Like, come to the mic.
So we haven't really solidified exactly what we will be doing, but most likely like a clerk area with records and a greeting area, that type of thing. So
Okay, so it's a pretty big space.
yeah,
Okay.
so most likely office space and work it out to the best that we can.
All right, well, all the questions that I had got asked. So sounds like you're very well, I'm impressed, you're very organized, and sounds like the project is going forward on a good path, and it is rewarding to, see you here and have this conversation, because it really was a three-plus year process for Southborough to join the rec.
Thank you for that. And I do truly believe that regionalization in this type of environment is a benefit to the community. It's not only a benefit to the community, but I believe it's a benefit to the responders as well. Working for the police department, I'm very acute to ensuring that the officers remain safe as they do their job. Regionalization provides a larger coverage area, so we're able to get help to those who need help faster. There's not a delay in having to call somebody else or having to transfer a call to somewhere else. It's much quicker in our response. I view regionalization like, in addition to that, emergency medical care, we're starting medical care at the time of the call. And so by having a regionalized center where we're fielding more calls and the dispatchers are being more practiced and better trained in handling those, we're able to provide a better level of care from the beginning. And it's my intention to ensure that the care that's provided is exceptional. It's a high quality of care in all aspects. So I'm hoping that we carry that forward.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
If anyone else have any questions? Okay. Well, thanks for your time.
Yes.
Really appreciate it.
And thanks for your
Okay.
time. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is first quarter of 2025 update from Brian and Carla, as well as the beginning of the discussion about the FY 27 budget process. I always get a little confused when I like first quarter and we're in October, then I have to remember to flip my brain from other,
Fiscal to calendar.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
We always joke around that this quarter we're in 3 different years. We're closed now. We're in the current year. We're starting the new year. So there you go.
True.
Busy. This is on, right?
We have a fall theme here for our few slides, not too many slides. So we should be able to run through this pretty fast for the Q4. You saw the slides. It's pretty good news. Just a reminder for those out there that June 30th is the final day of the fiscal year 25. So that wraps up the year, and then we start gathering all our numbers. The auditors were just in last week for the full week, and so they're working on their report. And the OPEB auditors just got their data last week. They're working on their report, and the pension auditors are working on their report. We got all these audits going on, audits of audits. So stay tuned for those to get hopefully done a little sooner this year. So you can see the general fund revenue totals were very good this year. Obviously, the biggest news is our free cash was at 3.6 million, which was substantially, I guess you could put it, higher than we've ever had before. The big factor in that is basically we had a lot of turnovers that Carla can talk about, departmental turnbacks. And we also did well in the local receipts with the usual permits and excise revenue that kept us up there and healthy. So this is great news. We will have plenty of time to talk about what to do with that or how to approach that, but nothing wrong with having that sort of problem. So $658,000 were above the our projections for the local receipts. Again, it's police detail. I think it was NSTAR had a project. It was over $500,000 or $600,000 of. Yeah, it was one quarter. I was really shocked at the amount of police revenue we got in for that last 3 months.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So a lot of police detail money. The line items that went down were very small, miscellaneous ones, like I mentioned, ZBA fees there, but there's others that are just tiny lines that, don't really, aren't material in effect. Good news is the water revenues, again, 372,000. Carla likes to hear that. And Bill. We know we had a big drought, so we'll see in the next billing where that billing lands. It should be kind of interesting to see the results of that. So we added 280,000 in fiscal 25 to, I gotta be careful because we did it in 26 too, to our local receipts and
I should know, okay, so it was 285 from the prior year.
yes,
From
Okay.
24.
from
to 24.
24 to 25.
Okay, all right.
We did it again, 25 to 26 and a much greater. It was a
Mhm.
lot more
About
money that
8%.
year. Yeah, about 8%. So, so we felt that was important to mention. So even with that 280,000, we still did really well. So this is, again, it's all good news as far as revenues. Unless there's any questions on that, I think we can go to the next one. And Carla can just quickly see
Okay.
the highlights of this.
The last time I was here, I said it was going to be better than what I anticipated it earlier in the year. I didn't think it was going to be this, but our turnback was very high, 60%, 67% higher than FY 24. The departments listed below are about like 996,000. the four big departments that contributed to the turn back was the reserve fund, of course. We didn't need any transfers from that, so that full 180 was returned. Police and dispatch both had a lot of staffing changes, and they had educational savings and things within their budget. They were able to turn back a healthy amount. In DPW as well, they had some staffing changes, vacancies. They had budgeted for gas that didn't, it wasn't as high as they thought. And for the mild winter we had the turn back of the snow and ice, and there were some engineering funds that weren't used in DPW. So those four departments alone is about $700,000. So then we had other various things happen on a smaller scale in other departments. And I feel like this year, everything went our way on the revenue side and the expense side. And again, I know I'm, the Debbie Downer, but I feel like we're not always going to see this, but, we'll again monitor through the year and see how we do. But it was a good result for FY25 for us. We have a lot of free cash. Yeah. So, okay, that's that one. I want to give you an ARPA update. We're dangerously close, 5 projects left. I'm working on everybody to just, not extend these contracts. Let's just, spend the money and get the projects done. So we do need to still report through 2027, but it's great. The departments are doing a good job spending down their projects. Yeah.
Do you know any further detail about the sidewalk engineering 122? So that's money that we allocated that hasn't been spent yet. And the deadline, is it the end of this year to spend?
It's actually, well, my deadline was.
We
end of last
have this
year.
conversation in the department head meeting. Carla was talking about the deadline. Said, what's the state deadline and what's Carla's deadline?
Right, but all of these funds, all of these remaining funds for ARPA, they needed to be encumbered by 12/31 of 24, and they were.
Yes.
Everybody met that deadline. So yes, the 122 for sidewalks, we have a contract in place to spend it. They are chipping away at that.
So it's end of 26, Andrew.
Yes, it is end of 26. Sorry, that was what you
Okay.
asked me initially. So
We're in good shape.
we are in,
Okay.
I was just at a conference today and the people were talking, and we're in great shape. We really are. Yeah, the auditors were saying that too, as far as, there were some communities that didn't make that deadline to encumber all that money before December of last year. So, I beat that drum, and the department's got it done. So yeah, we're in good shape. Any questions on that? And the FEMA update, I'm thrilled to report that the grant is closed. We did get all our money. It was $716,000 in FEMA claims that we received, 10 claims. It was a labor of love, was a big undertaking, but it's done. So it's great. Yeah.
This has happened, seems like so long ago. This was a
So long.
I know.
era. This
5
was a
years.
COVID era grant. that
5
sorts
years.
of
Yep. The
uh,
last claim,
overtime
Andrew,
and
16
anything that
months.
was related to COVID and
Yeah.
flu vaccine clinics, et cetera, et
Right,
cetera. Okay.
exactly, reimbursements for that. And, going through those reports, I get flashbacks. It's, to dark days, but it's good. And it's all out of my office and in the basement now to be
Congratulations.
archived. Thank you. Thank you. It's a big one.
Final thoughts, and this can kind of lead right into our next discussion, which will be about this year or this next year, FY27. So obviously October 27th, next Monday, hopefully everyone shows up for a special town meeting. That should be hopefully a lot of good news at that one too. So the free cash we're using out of that is 186,000. I mentioned the audits, so that's just ongoing. We want to get the departmental budgets out next week. They're fairly close and ready to go, so we can get those out. We did have a department head meeting where myself and the town administrator sort of gave our view of the world of the next 2 years and kind of put everyone on notice that it's going to be a tough 2 years. There'll be a lot of decisions to make, but we hope, we have faith in our workforce. So that's hopefully going out next week. And we want to set up the parameters. I think you've seen the, and if you have any questions about this stuff, that's fine, but I think you've seen the calendar and everything. So we made it, we just for background, we made the calendar fairly close to what it was last year. And we just, Mark, myself, you may have been there too. We just took a look at the calendar for town meeting and just kind of shot out there what a day that may make sense for the board to consider. So if we can decide those things. And one of the more important things that we'd like to do tonight is, what are your parameters for the departments this year? Would really like to know, when we send this out, to tell the departments whether you want to see, you know, there's a ton of different ways you can come at this, but if you want to say, you know, you have anything over a 5% budget, 4%, 3%, whatever, tell us, you know, why and what you'd have to cut to get down to, you know, that 3%. You could do, just have everyone submit what they feel is a level service budget, see where it lands, and then go from there, if that's what you want to do. So, you know, we just would really like some guidelines this year for, you know, to bring that message back to the departments and start getting going.
Okay, well, I mean, some of my thoughts, obviously, we want to avoid a override, right?
Well, let's discuss that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, but let's discuss what that means.
And so to your question about if you had the approach of, we want to set a target of, we don't want the year over year increase to exceed X%, then just as a process question, how that would translate into what departments are supposed to do in submitting their budgets, because everything depends on everything else so much and depends on capital and projections. So how, like, if we were to say something like that, how would that really actually work?
So I think it would be an ongoing process where we'd have to, you're right, I mean, this is a living document, the budget, as we get going. We'll have to see where we stand initially, and then, you know, go from there on, you know, what that dollar figure represents. If you want to have a certain standard of, you know, the tax rate shouldn't be more than 5% this year. I don't know, just throwing that out there. But we know what the dollar amount of that is to get down to that point. So, and then I think, you know, it depends how deep the board wants to go. Another thing I want to mention is the whole Saturday concept. Does the board think that has worked? Is that something we want to continue? I have mixed feelings about it. I think it's really good in some ways, and, you know, maybe not so good in other ways, but do we want to do a deeper dive this year and have more departments in? You know, you know, one of the ideas was to look at all the non-salary lines and go back a few years and see what has and hasn't been used. As, you know, as a department for the 4th year in a row and turning back a line item, maybe we should be looking at that and seeing what that means. So,
I think something like that makes sense. And then I don't know, your message is, you know, for any line item like that where it hasn't been spent, or maybe there's some way you can make that a little more specific, you need to explain why we should continue to budget for that if it hasn't been spent. All right, I guess we open it up for anyone else want to?
I got a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so Al, piggyback me here. Okay, we've got $3.4 million of free cash because we're going to take off 200 from special time meeting if everything passes, right? So call it 3.4. When we did the projections for that we used in the trying to estimate the impact of the proposed school project, we have overrides for fiscal year 27 and fiscal year 28, right? So it's not just 27 that we got a problem, we got 28 too. So I think we got to think about 2 years and not, and maybe even further, not just the 1 year like we normally do. And then we punt everything else the following year. Social Security increase this year was 2.6%. So that to me is what you look at for inflation. Of course, that's a calendar year for last year, but that's all we got for the moment.
Yep.
So we're not looking at, as far as that increase goes, we're not looking at huge inflation here. If we want to try to keep this budget to something that looks like inflation, it's a pretty low number, 3%.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what those small budgets do. It matters what schools do first, right? So if the school comes with a big increase, it's blown. So there's nothing you can do about it. So I think you start the schools and you give them a target, which you're not going to like, but something like 3%, and see what they can do. Benefits, of course, are a wild card. You know, those that went around and said, well, you know, the reason the school project failed is because of the year-over-year increase, who happen to be school people talking. The school budget was up the same as the town budget when you put the benefits in. So you can't just exclude the benefits. It's the whole package, right? So put benefits aside. I want to talk about that separately. I think that we make a decision tonight whether we want any new positions or not. And I say, I voted no for now. We'll see if we can stick to it. Chief Newell's going to be very unhappy about that because he wants his second tranche of 3. But I think we've got to draw sand. We've got to stop right now because of the override and just say there's no new hours. For anybody. Hold the line with the schools. We've got to do something about the health insurance. We know about the issue with the seniors, which we should talk about. I think there's something wrong with that story there. There's no reason for insurance to go up that much. Go up a lot, but not 66%. This is as a result of a meeting we had with Andrew Pfaff recently. So he said, what budget process picks up the budget from the previous year, and that's what you budget from? He said he wants to budget from fiscal year 24 actual. And that is kind of what you were saying, for any, you know, salaries are salaries, right? Most of them are CBAs, so there's nothing we're gonna do about that, right? So get that all set as far as what that's gonna do, as far as increase goes. But everything else, go back to fiscal year 25 and look what you actually spent and justify why you need more money than that. You know, don't just automatically roll that forward. So that could be one thing we do to hold it down. I agree that we should try to, well, I think we got to eliminate the override in both years, and look at both years instead of just the 1 year so that we really have a plan for both years. I don't see how we're not going to use all that free cash. I know you don't want to, but you know, we do it every single time. We've got $600,000 in a reserve fund and stabilization. That's it. I think we got to limit capital to something like $1.5 million, $1.8 million or so, and see what that is for us. But I do think we start with, we agree tonight that there's no new positions. What was the message you gave to the departments when you?
That was basically the message. I think myself and the town administrator, again, we're pretty clear. We don't want to see a second budget if it's up to us, you too, probably. You know, usually we say, make a second budget if you want extra hours. We'll look at it. And this year we said, no. We don't want to see it. No second budget. This is it. Like there can't be new positions this year.
I mean, part of the issue too is that, and especially with police, is that with 3 of the new positions that we added, we don't have the full impact of those positions, and you won't see those until the fiscal 27 budget. So Brian and I were talking that it's going to be a little bit of shock and awe with the police personnel number. You know, because, you know, we had staggered these 3 positions in over the year. You've got 2 of the officers who are coming out of academy, will be in the academy for most of this fiscal year, and then coming out. So, you know, his budget is going to be going up, you know, a fair percentage more than others because of that.
And it's really difficult to make that sort of argument if you're, as to your point, looking at overrides for maybe 1, maybe 2 years. I just think it's a really.
It doesn't mean we can't get an override pass. You put the school out there, it'll pass, right? But I hope we can end up with a year-over-year increase that looks something like inflation, right? And I just said inflation looks like, to me, it's 2.6%, and that's hard to do, but I hear you. And I believe if we had an increase like that, we would pull ourselves out of the override if we used all the free cash. I did a quick computation. I think so. Now, I still think we got to start with the schools though, because again, the schools and both, not just K-8, we got to talk to Algonquin too. You know, we're 40% of that, so we should have a big say-so in that one. But to say, you got to do what you got to do. You've got a big fat budget. You should be able to pull something out of here that would help us get down to this. Now, you got a new CBA for the school that you're negotiating, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so you know, it's hard, right? But we got to try to end up with a contract that hopefully makes sense and doesn't,
I think Greg has a path, so.
okay, including the health
Now,
insurance.
to that, would you handle like that, like we've handled the town CBAs where the scheduling is such that it's not part of the budget, but then you have a separate article that funds the,
Yeah.
okay,
It's all,
get
it's
my-
all.
I'm not
it's all-
Typically
it's
roll.
all-
It still ends up in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so
Yeah, they typically.
have you guys read Al's draft report for town meeting as far as Article 1 goes?
Yes.
So he put a number there that I thought was too high, but apparently it's not. So he's got in there a slide that talks about the 10-year increase in headcount. He's only talking on the municipal side. Schools aren't part of that. And it's 14%. So that's what, 1.4% a year, year over year after year after year. So I'm ready to, and I know we try this every time and we always find a reason to let someone have an increase, right? I say we truly hold the line this year and no new hours, no new positions, no new hours.
No, I think I 100% agree with that. I've just been planning for that for a year. Al?
I actually have a slightly different take on this, the same message. You know, we got to stop thinking about department and department and department. I would say, you know, there is roughly 110 municipal employees. And we ought to leave the budget with 110 municipal employees. Whether they're all distributed the way they are today, I'm less concerned about that. If we think that adding a police officer is a higher priority than some other function in town, I'm willing to make those decisions because that's what we get paid to do, the big money.
Too, except that I don't know what that, you know, we've gone through this. You and I talked, said, okay, is the library the most popular department in this town? Is it senior center? Next most popular department. Youth and Family Services critical for what people in this town need. So I don't know where you get that other. You know, so if there was a way to.
I think there might be one or two, and we're gonna have to dig in and take a hard look at it. And, you know, I think every time there is turnover, we need, this board needs to say, yes, we really, you know, what does that function do? Is there another way to achieve it? Is there another way to organize ourselves to achieve that function? I mean, you know, I'm looking at all of the money that was turned back, right? The town performed, and yet we had 3 or 4 departments that were down staff and spent less money on personnel than they were anticipated. So I think this relates to Andrew's comment about, you know, let's go back and do our budgeting based on actuals rather than what's in the budget. The other thing I think we need to start rethinking about how we organize our budget. Andrew and I met with town council and we were talking about a variety of things. And one of the things that came up is, you know, we do line item by line item by line item by line item in our budget, and we vote on line item by line item by line item. And he said, that's not necessary. There are other communities that have 7 or 8 big hunks of budget. And so, you know, they take things like, and you can forgive me, but, you know, youth and family services and senior center and a variety, maybe 2 or 3 others, and they're lumped together into a single budget line item. They may still be budgeted for those items, but they're lumped in that. And that actually gives this board and our finance team a bit more flexibility in terms of moving money around. So for example, rather than having a police budget and a fire department budget, we have a public safety budget. And that gives, this is something I think we need to take a serious look at.
But we can move it around anyway. So are you saying, well, though, but if we had it combined, they can move it around easier than waiting to ask for a intra-department, look, they can do it inside the department already, right? An inter-department, we still approve those all the time, so they can still do it
Right.
already.
Right, but now I may not be up on the most recent version, but normally that happens at the end of the year versus it provides us with more flexibility. in terms of how we manage the funds. Again, this is, we treat the small departments as untouchable. But so lumping them together makes them more touchable, if you'll excuse the metaphor. And so I think we ought to be thinking seriously about something along those lines. But that's my 2 cents on
So
that.
just explaining what you said further, what Jay was explaining to us is, our warrant for the budget, you get to and the article about the budget, and it's like 4 pages long, 5 pages long, breaks down into every single, so that people can hold, a very small line item, right? What some other towns do is their warrant, the budget is just 1 page and it's only got like 12 line items, right? And each line item comprises all of the different sub items that are in the version we have right now. It's just a different way of presenting the budget to town meeting.
So I'm fine talking about how you present it. But to me, that's kind of form over substance as far as that piece of it
Because
goes.
you would still need to build the budget through this
Yeah.
process we're talking about.
Yeah.
One
We
of the things
still
we
need
get
to include
criticized
it on the
for-
ledger as it is, but
Right.
I see what you're saying, like vote of human services, a public safety, general government, that
Right.
kind of thing.
But, and you just said this, you still have the detailed budget underneath that you'd still you still have a budget you're working with as far as
Yeah.
things you're.
Hmm.
Okay, so how about this for a start tonight? We agree, no new positions. We can talk about moving them around, but no new positions.
Yes.
Anybody disagree on that? Okay, second, no new hour, no new hours, no new positions, okay? Nobody goes from 32 to 40 or, so say it that way, no new hours, okay? Limit capital to, for now, 1.8 million.
How are you deriving that number?
That's a number that we worked pretty hard on to get to the 10-year budget that we worked on for the school thing. So Jason Malinowski was involved in that, and that's what we felt was a pretty good average number for the next few years.
Is it conservative? Is it in the
It
middle? Is it?
It is certainly not picking up everything that could be there, let me say that, but it did seem to accomplish the things that had to be done.
Can we scale back at all? Is there any ability in that number that you think could be the base number?
There's a lot on that capital plan.
Can we pick a number that would be slightly more conservative and see where we can land and at least have a target of a lower number?
Okay, 1.5 million?
We could.
Do 1.5 million?
Okay.
I think it would be useful to have a presentation from I'm sympathetic to Tim's view, big surprise, but I think we ought to have capital budget in
Oh, yeah.
sooner rather than later. I think that would be a useful.
They do that
discussion.
very early. I'm sure they're already starting to gear up to do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if
they
we
have.
gave them guidance now, because we usually don't, then they would know, they basically say, if this is what your number is, this is what you need to do, right?
Yeah, so the school was in last night talking about the K-8 and the Algonquin. There's some big projects that they're looking at. I think capital is going to want them to rank the projects in terms of need. So I think that 1.8 number may be more realistic than conservative. But, we can start at the 1.5 and work from there.
Okay, base the non-salary items on fiscal year 25 actual and justify if you've got to go more than that.
Yep.
Okay, ask the schools to present a budget that is 3% increase overall, including benefits. Which they'll not like.
Can we, just sitting on where I'm thinking, whenever you say you can go up to this, you always find a way to go up to this. Can we
If they
say,
came at 3% with benefits, we would jump up and down. So that's a really low number to ask them to shoot for.
I was thinking of your 2.6 number as an actual, and from where I was standing, like year on year, 2.6 over where we were. I know it might be excessively aggressive, but you don't get to a better point unless you try to go further than you think is reasonable and then back up on the things that you're not willing to compromise on.
So you want 2.6 instead of 3?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I think that's what we come back with and we hear the answer. And if that's the answer, then we say, okay, is that a compromise we're willing to make in any capacity of hitting that number? Or is it a risk that's not worth?
I don't see any realistic possibility of how you can ask the schools to come back with a budget of a 2.6%.
Increase.
And 3 is pretty super aggressive.
Okay, let's keep it at 3 for the moment because it is aggressive as it is. Use all the free cash for the moment.
Mm,
Just saying, people growing.
But if you're gonna have a leaner approach to budgeting, there should be fewer turnbacks, so then there should be less free cash the following year, right?
Yep.
Over time, yes.
Okay, so how about looking at the last 5 years of free cash and using the average of the last 5 years? And putting the excess in stabilization? For now?
For now, just for now.
For now?
No, I'm not in favor of increasing stabilization at
We
all.
gotta use the free cash for something. Where
Yeah,
we gonna put it?
I'm going to use it for the budget.
Well, I said that and Andrew said,
Well,
so you want the whole thing in there?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, this is money that the taxpayers have given us and that we told the taxpayers we were going to spend on our current operations. We did not tell the taxpayers that we were going to squirrel this away for some other purpose. And so we ought to use the money for the purpose we said we were going to use it and spend it. And, to the extent that it offers tax relief, that's appropriate.
But in my opinion, you should make sure you don't spend, it's one-time money.
Right.
You should spend it on one-time things. Don't use it to prop up your operational budgets, which then next year are going to create a bigger hole that we're going to have to fill.
okay, so who knows where, we're always gonna have excess local revenue because of the way we do it, right? We know that. We don't know we're gonna have those kind of turnbacks on department for sure, and we probably won't. So to me, that's a risk, is that more than local revenue? Today at the forum, Atlantic told the group that, the attorney told the group that we should expect about at least $1 million in permit fees from their construction, just from the Costco building, not everything else that we'll have that will come up around it. So we probably are looking at pretty good numbers for local revenue for a while, but the turnbacks, that is
You're
something we
exposed.
should
You're exposed. Yep.
bet on for sure.
Right.
Okay, so maybe do it both ways.
Yeah.
Put it all in there
Yeah.
and then do another one where you do the average 5 years. Let's see where we end up. So we see them
Yeah.
both.
But that would just be the one exception to the 2 different budgets thing they were talking about, right? So at least for the operational
So your camp,
departments, no more,
under the John
3
Boat,
different versions of the.
advisory camp, as far as that goes. But I also know that people don't like their bill to jump up and down either,
One
so.
point.
I think that if we said that your taxes are only going to go up
Yeah,
by
let's do it.
3% next year, people would be ecstatic.
1.8, 1.9.
And if that means that, we're going to see a little more in 28, I don't pay my taxes in percentages. I pay my taxes in dollars.
All right, so to recap, what have we said so far?
No new hours or people.
Correct?
So, yeah, so holding the school to a 3% budget, a 3% increase target, limiting capital to
Million.
1.5 million.
Yep.
No new positions, no new hours. FY 25 actuals is the starting point for the non-salary items. And
That's it, those 4 things.
that was it. And then the 2 different approaches with the free cash.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then,
It's a start.
so on terms of the calendar,
Mm.
that's the message, and then the budgets get submitted, and then we see the first draft of it, December?
Second meeting in December,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's usually right around there,
Yeah.
yeah.
we're able to give you.
Merry Christmas.
Capital's usually ready that first meeting in December. That's when
Yeah,
they're
it's usually
ready to
right
come,
around
so that
there.
we should keep
Mhm.
on that schedule with them.
Now, we have one item that's the last on the agenda is setting the, or picking penciled in date for the annual town meeting, since this whole calendar works backwards from the annual town meeting. The Saturday, April 11th, that's the Saturday after
Easter.
Easter. So how do people feel about that as a date to work back from?
Well, Brian said Saturdays he likes and he doesn't like. So do we want to do Saturday? We want to do Monday?
I think Brian was talking about the budget summit, not the town meeting.
Oh,
Oh, but I do like Saturdays.
Oh, but right.
She's right.
Yes, but yes, your pros and cons were about the budget summit, not the Saturday town meeting.
Right, right.
is that true? So you were really talking about the summit and not the town meeting?
But both, actually, for me. It's just me only.
Isn't the town meeting on bylaw that it has to be on a Saturday?
No, I thought that was
No.
changed, right?
It was, but we changed it back. So now it's got to be by the last, Saturday in April or something like that.
It seemed to fit right in, at least by
Yeah.
what we were looking at, but.
Yeah, the Trotter was not available that last Saturday in March. So the third Saturday in March seems a little soon. So then if you looked forward, the next Saturday
Easter.
after the last week of March was Easter. And so the 11th fits nicely because it's before school vacation
Yep.
and after Easter. So it seems to be kind of your sweet spot.
Is there spring sports at that time? It's still early for spring sports, right?
I'm sure they're going on, but
Yeah.
you know,
Because that was a big thing for parents. So like, are we against a heavy sports schedule at that time?
The only other option would be to move it to a Monday night.
so the advantage of, well, I guess for the purpose of working up this budget calendar, we don't need to necessarily select the weekday versus Saturday, but one of the advantages of doing it on a Saturday is we have not had a multi-day annual town meeting when we've done it on a Saturday. There was one that went really late when it began at noon.
1:30 in the
instead of 10.
morning, the one with they ended up with that rec discussion.
Yeah, that was, you know,
We did it in sessions. We had the one.
Yeah.
Oh.
and we then we moved the start time from 12 up to 10, and that helped that. So I'm in favor of continuing to do it on a Saturday.
This last one, we ended at 4, remember?
Yeah.
It was very poorly attended. We had a quorum, but not much, so. The one before was poorly attended.
I know that the town clerk has done some research on town meeting attendance, and maybe we ought to ask him to come in at the next meeting and talk about what he's found as well. I think there's some useful insight there. I mean, I can go either way on the date, but I'd like to at least listen to what he has found in his research.
So for purposes of just the budget calendar, does that make sense to just pencil that in for?
So just say 11th, and we know we'll go to the 13th if we need to
Okay.
change it to a Monday.
Okay, just temporary.
Okay.
You know, I think the reality is it's either going to be the 11th or the 13th. You
When
can put it in
is
there
the
as
Pass-
April.
Next year?
Passover is April 2nd.
So we're past
I checked.
Easter and Passover, so we're okay there.
Yeah, and you know, we do have a significant South Asian population, so I think we need to double check those calendars as well.
So anyone have any comment or want to change anything in the draft budget calendar? All right, because if that's the case, I then think we've talked about each of the 3 things that Ryan and Carla came for, the first quarter update, the budget calendar, and the budget guidelines.
Yes.
Does everyone agree? All right, in that case, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good stuff.
I'd be very interested to see where this lands the first draft.
I would love to see a number with a 2 and then less than 3 when we're done.
I don't know, not in the 5 years I've been.
So turning to reports,
Thank you.
I don't have any chair's report, but Kathy, you have a member's report about the
Yeah,
advisory
and you
position.
may already know this, but just to reiterate, so advisory has voted on our articles. They've taken position on all 10. They have voted unanimously to support 9 out of 10. And then the article where the vacation coming in the door is going to be 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks, that was a 6-1 vote. There was one vote that did not think that was a good idea. So 7-0 on 9 of them and 6-1 on the other. So that's good. The report is written. They approved it last night. They will, I think they'll get that out and published tomorrow. So people should have a chance to read that before Monday. But we're okay, never mind. We're 4. Okay, so we're going to vote again, I think, as far as Article 1. But it's pretty unanimous support all the way through between Select Board, Advisory, and then Planning Board to the extent of the 2 articles they care about.
Okay. So with that, Mark, do you have any reports? Okay, so turning to the consent agenda, I am going to hold the open session meeting minutes for September 30th. And
Okay, it's not on the agenda, but we've got October 9th here. At least it's not on the agenda. I've got it. Can we do the 9th?
no, it is on the agenda. It's on the, it's on the revised agenda.
Okay, so hold the 9th.
Okay. Does anyone have any edits to the October 7th?
I'd like to hold C. I just have a
Okay.
question.
Okay. So I move that the board approve consent agenda items, A, for the open session meeting minutes of October 7, B, D, and E.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. So for the, beginning with the open session meeting minutes. I had a edit on the 30th. It says I was there and I wasn't. So we should change that. Yeah. That's my change.
You
Any
what?
other edits? Okay, I move that we approve the September 30 minutes as amended.
Second.
All those in favor? Then Kathy, you had to edit to the October 9th minutes.
Yeah, and I think Katie did this, so I'm talking to Katie. So Katie, all you gotta do on 2 is do this. Call it the Atlantic Team instead of Atlantic Management, because you got the attorneys mixed in there too. So just say, instead of saying from Atlantic Management, just say the Atlantic Team under 2, and then do the same thing in the next paragraph where you say the board and Atlantic Team. Just don't say management, because they're part of their team, but they're not part of Atlantic Management. That's it.
Okay, I move that the board approve the October 9 minutes.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, Al, you held item C.
Yeah, I just have a silly question. I'm under the impression that the DPW director can hire without our approval these sorts of positions. Mark, can you just clarify
Yeah,
that?
we had taken a look at this and I had Jay Talman take a look at this. So the way the special act reads is that the select board has to ratify the hiring decisions of the DPW superintendent.
All right.
Sorry. I know Bill's probably not happy about that either, but it's belt and suspenders.
All right. You have any?
Could we provide him a blanket ratification? I mean, this is just one of these, I mean, no disrespect to the applicant, but this is just one of those zero value add things we get asked to do.
I agree. We're just gonna approve it.
I move that we approve consent agenda item C.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, so then down to other matters. I think we already talked about the annual town meeting date penciling in April 11th. Preparation for the special town meeting. We have already divvied up the article presentations, and then Al, I think you put together a presentation. Did you wanna? Yeah. Okay. And then I know you voted no the last time.
No, he abstained.
Oh, abstained. Okay, all right. So then, do you want to go through your presentation then? You want to reconsider the vote? Okay.
Okay, so next slide. So I think it's not a surprise to anyone that our residential property taxes have been increasing substantially over the last 10 years. They've risen from $9,100 to $13,200 at an average rate. That's a 10-year growth rate of 4.3%. And over the last 5 years since COVID, it's actually accelerated to 5.4% per year. Next slide, please. There are three drivers of this. There's obviously inflation over the period in question. Inflation averaged 3.4%. There's headcount expansion. In the last 10 years, we've seen municipal headcount increase by over 14%. And finally, there's been a residential tax shift. Since COVID, the residential properties have appreciated far faster than commercial and industrial properties, which have lagged. This has resulted in the property tax burden shifting to residential taxpayers. Since 2021, about $2 million worth of our tax burden has shifted from commercial properties to residential properties. Next slide. Before 2022, about 80% of the cost of local government, the levy, was borne by residential taxpayers. Today, that number is 84.27%. In the near future, we don't see any change in this trend. We need about $160 million of new commercial development to return us to the 80-20 split that we enjoyed before COVID. Next slide. Today, we can take a step to add to our commercial tax base. We're being asked to add a major retail use to an existing industrial park zone. Costco is the planned occupant of that zone. The zoning change is enabling legislation. It's a first step. This is not, I want to stress this, this is not the approval of a specific project or a specific occupant. This is only enables this use to proceed. If the zoning change is approved, the applicant, Atlantic Management, will have to apply for special permits and go through the normal site plan review process. Atlantic will have to conform to all of the relevant building codes, health codes, and normal building permit processes. Next slide, please. Who is Atlantic? They're founded in 1972. They're headquartered in Framingham. They own and manage over 6 million square feet in Eastern Mass primarily. It's one development in Rhode Island. They've done projects in Westboro and in Marlboro. Next slide, please. You'll find on the table 2 letters of support from the town of Westboro and from the city of Marlboro, who have had extensive dealings with Atlantic. And suffice to say, they've both been very, very positive in terms of Atlantic being a good partner to work with. Next slide, please. So what is Atlantic asking for? They're asking for us to establish in our zoning code a major highway retail district that it would permit large format single tenants over 125,000 square feet, a minimum of 20 acres. I should note that some of those acres may be in an adjoining town. It would be for a retail establishment that focuses on groceries, household goods, pharmacy, optical, liquor, automotive parts and repairs, food service, and automotive fueling. It'd be a minimum of 500 feet from any residential district, no access to the scenic roads, and abutting lots may be used for supporting or complementary uses, which would include retail, food services, and personal services. The entire list of asks is in the warrant, and it's pretty short and succinct. Next slide, please. Why is Atlantic asking for this change? The current zoning does not make provisions for this type of large retail establishment in an industrial park zone. The current limits are 50,000 square feet without a variance. Today, most big box stores, if you look at BJ's or Home Depot, Lowe's, Targets, you know the list, are all over 100,000 square foot. Frankly, they want to make sure that they are aligned with the community goals before making the substantial investment which will be required just to permit this project. Atlantic has stated they want to be where they are wanted. This article demonstrates that the community's commitment to the Atlantic plan for this parcel. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the site. The site is 21 Cosland Drive. It is the only site in the town of Southborough that meets this definition. You will note that a small portion of that site is in the town of Westboro, as is called out in the bylaw that we're being asked to approve. Continue, next slide. We need to look at the bigger picture. And now I want to talk about the current and former Dell EMC parcels that Atlantic owns some of. And there's about 150 acres in this industrial park area. It is largely undeveloped and has been for decades. What is developed is underutilized. 3 of the buildings in this park are empty. The facility, the area has excellent access to Route 9 and 495. And frankly, the vision here is that Costco can serve as a magnet for other retail developments. And with other retail developments, we can also see commercial and industrial developments. Nobody wants to go into an office park that's in a wasteland. Full development of this area could reverse the shift in the tax burden back to the 80-20, or if we're optimistic, better. So that is the bigger picture. This is the first step in a journey to see this area developed in ways that can benefit the taxpayers. Next slide, please. So this is, in summary, this is enabling legislation. The applicant still has to go through all of the normal project approval processes. It's the first step in reversing the residential tax shift. This development is consistent with our master plan. It provides the needed services and economic developments. This location has always been zoned for commercial use. Costco alone will help, but it will not completely reverse the tax shift trend. Full development of the current and former Dell EMC properties will. We urge you to vote yes on this article. Quite frankly, when opportunity knocks, answer the door. I
think it's great.
Okay. Oh, I think Tim's got some.
Yeah, Tim has, you have a comment?
Excuse me, Tim, but it wasn't a couple of things on your slide. I think it's slide 5. You talk about one industrial park zone. It's actually one parcel. One of the things I got the planning board to do was to specifically name that parcel. Same comment on slide 8, where you say district, you really want to say one parcel. So I think that addresses.
You're suggesting that it's an industrial park rather than an industrial park zone.
You're allowing this kind of use on that parcel, not in the IP zone, not in the whole zone. It's this one parcel. And this was specifically to address a lot of the concerns people had that, well, maybe if you found another bunch of parcels, you could,
We agree.
aggregate. So I think the
Okay.
presentation
Done.
should emphasize that.
You made the sale. Yep.
5 and 8.
And it may be something on the
Yeah.
bigger picture slide.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any other comment? Mimi?
Yes, thank you. Just similar to what Tim was saying, we're adding a use, not a district. I think that was one of the slides that Tim mentioned, that we're adding a major highway district, but we're not. We're adding the use.
Fair points.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Not bad.
I have just one general comment or concern to how this might be viewed. Because as I understand it, we're doing this use across the entire zone. And then everything we talk about is about how only one parcel fits all that, so it's one parcel. But it's kind of like this truth, but like not super clear definition of it, where we are applying, allowing this use across the entire zone, right? But it really, only one parcel actually fits the criteria laid out within the
It's,
the bylaw.
That's the way, that's the way it started, Tim.
Yep.
And all of those constraints are still in the bylaw, but in fact, the bylaw calls out parcel number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. It says that use is only allowed on that parcel. So if you want to change, if you want to use it somewhere else, you'd have to go and amend the bylaw.
Okay, and that still fits with the spot zoning discussion before that town council weighed in on and all that. Everything's
Yeah.
good. I just,
He actually wrote a opinion that they got this week.
okay,
It's spot zoning, but it's not illegal spot zoning.
okay. I just wanted, I'm a big stickler on dotting i's and, crossing t's, dotting i's, making sure that it's all clear and looks the same, not represented. So I'm good with it.
So Al, at the end, because I don't think Paul is going to do it, can you also mention that we're going to revote. So mention the votes of select board
Yeah.
and planning board and advisory, more importantly, advisory. They're the ones advising the town meeting, so maybe you can start with them.
we first make a motion to reconsider the vote that we took before, and then okay,
Sounds fine.
how about this? I move that the board reconsider the vote that we previously took on Article 1.
Second,
All those in favor? Okay. I move that the board support Article 1 at town meeting.
second.
Okay, so now it's unanimous.
Okay.
So then hopefully everything that gets to the, like on the motion sheet, everything that gets to the,
Yes.
okay, we'll say 5.
We'll make sure that it's right on the screen, right? But I don't think Paul will mention stuff. Al, you could do that and.
I could just add a bullet that says it's supported by all three.
Okay, is there anything?
By the way, it's also supported by the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Oh,
Ask that in there too. I'm sure that will. get you
is,
to vote.
is there anything else that we should talk about in terms of preparation for the October 27th town meeting? Well, the time of that we'll have a pre-meeting is,
I think I'm looking at this, I think it's 6.
6? Okay,
And
right.
is it already posted?
Yes.
Okay.
anything else we should discuss?
Yes, we wanted to, are we squared away on Article 10?
Yes, to
Well,
John
motion.
Butler's
Yeah.
question, so everyone is aware. Oh, okay,
Oh, actually, I do have a couple of other sort of minor nits. So we received these two very nice letters of support, and copies of those letters of support should be on the table for people to pick up.
okay,
You know,
that makes sense to me.
you don't see that very often.
Yep.
Mark and Vanessa, do you have them, both of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would suggest that a copy of the revised motion on 10 be on the table as well.
Sure,
That way you can just, it'll save you reading, you say as printed on this blue sheet of paper or whatever.
Okay, so I've got one. Article 3, I thought we were going to separate the 100 into 85 and 15 in the motion to make it clear that we're going to do the short-term remediation that we have agreed to do.
So I gave that to council and she suggested that, that the language and related work associated with was more encompassing in case there's something else that was left out. It does say that in the summary.
I've actually just a few hours ago finished the presentation for this, which is very short, and it does call that out that,
All right.
current.
and also some of the people that were the most interested in this attended the meeting where that was made very
Yeah.
clear. We moved it from 85 to 100.
Yeah.
So I think we're fine on that. So my quick explanation of Article 10 is everyone know the background to this, so John Butler had emailed a couple of us to suggest that he thought that it may be helpful for Article 10, the sentence in the article where we had said, we would like the town government structure committee to consider these 4 or 5 things, kind of prescriptive language, just, you can just take that out and keep it general, that the committee's charge is to make recommendations to modernize the town government structure and improve its efficiency, effectiveness. So to dispel any idea that the select board is telling this committee, we want this board to do these particular things.
Which we weren't, but this is okay. I think this sounds good.
So everyone's on board with the
Yeah.
form of the motion?
Yep.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Yeah, can we talk about Article 2, this, which is the revision of the golf course revolving fund to expand it so that if we have excess funds, we can pull it out, right?
Yes.
That's what we're trying to do. This is probably going to get some pushback. I'm going to try to explain it in a way, that everyone understands that we still fully intend for the golf course revenue to fund golf course first. But if there is a point in time, because revenue keeps going up like it has, I mean, it's gone up just like this, right? Slope's been pretty high. If there's any point in time that there really is excess, defined as at the end of the year, we take a look at the balance, we subtract everything that we know that needs to be done, per what the golf committee has said to us, right? So whatever that number is, and $75,000, if there's any money left over, we can pull it out and use it again to try to offset the general fund and try it again to reduce real estate taxes. Simple as that, right? So we've got a letter from CPC that seems to have an issue with this. So, and then Mr. Stivers pulled me aside today at the forum and may have an issue with this. So anyway, we'll see where it goes. All we're
Okay.
trying to do is lower
Yeah.
taxes, right? And get a
Well-
little bit of return on investment, that $5 million that we paid for that golf course. So I still think we go forward with this and see what happens.
Yep, so I think you're stressing that in the article, the change is to have any unencumbered balance.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
not just any balance over 70.
No. If there really is excess cash based on what we know at that point in time, we distribute it. But the intent is to truly have the golf course to fund itself and not have to use general fund to fund it. Absolutely, we continue to do that. So, we know we've got an irrigation system problem that's got to be solved, so we will figure out how to solve that.
Anything else? Okay. With that, I move that the board enter into executive session per Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21, and not return to open session to review and approve executive session minutes from the September 16, 2025 executive session exemption 7.
Second,
Okay, roll call vote, Dennington, aye.
Landry, aye.